although I'm a CEO, but I code all everything, right? Because the inflation had not caught up. Understand, okay, what kind of use cases AI can be applied in, and you can build solutions for that.
Earlier, I think that the power of using AI was also very limited.
There was a lot of money pouring in deep learning.
So where do you see the world moving in next decade or so?
I see same thing happening with AI.
Because the domain which you are currently today is the AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Hi everyone, welcome back to Techie Talks with Kuldeep. I am your host Kuldeep Singh and excited to have Mr. Rajiv Kumar joining us today. Over 2 decades at IBM, he played many different roles. Currently, he is the founder and CEO of TensorBrew, helping enterprises in their AI journey. Let's dive in and hear more directly from him. Welcome, Rajiv. Welcome to the show.
Thank you Kuldeep for having me.
Rajiv, before we start our conversation, could you share some of the experiences and your journey? What helped you in making the tech leader you are today?
Sure. Thank you, Kuldeep, for first of all for inviting me, and I would definitely love to share my experience. I learned from a lot of people, so that's what I want to do now. I lived in a very small town called Samalkha. It's near Panipat in Haryana. I did my schooling. A lot of it was from government school in villages. Somehow I ended up there, even though I was living in a kind of a small town, but I studied in village schools, government schools, till 10th grade, and which was wonderful. I mean, looking back, that was, I love that part. Then I did my bit of schooling in Panipat. Then I joined engineering college in Kurukshetra, and in those days it was called REC Kurukshetra, but now it's NIT Kurukshetra, and wonderful time there again. So many memories and so many friends even till today. And then, so I graduated in 1996.
Okay.
And then, I started working, and around about the same time when, the IT industry was just starting to take off.
Yes.
Right. So we were kind of the lucky generation, right? We could earn 5,000 rupees, and our cost of living will be 2,000 rupees. Like, we had always had more money than we could spend on, right? Because the inflation had not caught up.
Okay.
Right. So, so I joined a company called ABB, Ashiya Brown Boveri, out of college, and I worked there for a while, for just few months. And there was not much work going on at that time. Then I joined IBM in '97.
Okay.
And I stayed with them, with the IBM, for 21 years, playing different roles, and just a whole life story. But then I was, even though I was supposed to retire from IBM, but in 2018 I moved out and I came into the startup world. First thought was, a startup world is very demanding, and in fact, when people approached me for for a startup, and I said no, I said I don't work that much, so. But then I was getting a little bored at what I was doing at IBM, and I said, okay, let me try this out. And so it's been almost 6 years, a little over 6 years now, and I have loved every moment of it. One thing I started doing around 2018 was, so while in IBM, I basically, looking after the work that Google had outsourced to IBM, and so some part of it. And while being managing that work, I learned about AI, AI ML. IBM had this product called Watson. IBM Watson around 2015-16 it came out.
Yeah.
And it was quite intriguing. I mean, I was working as a senior manager at IBM at that time, right? And senior managers, at least in those days, I mean, they were far removed from technology. Like, it's just like, you have more of people management and client management, and just playing with Excel. But apparently I always loved coding. So even though over the years I played, I became a manager in 2004, but I continued to code for my just fun. Like, I wanted to learn, not for the project that I was managing, but just kept coding. Although I'm a CEO, but I code every day.
Okay.
I'm a hardcore, coder.
Hardcore engineer.
Our coder basically.
You have already touched base on the knowledge side from IBM. Then you have also worked in the education industry, and then you also had your startup. TensorBrew startup.
Correct.
So these are three very different genres, right?
Yeah.
So what were the key learning from these three? If you can maybe start with.
So IBM, I have a lifetime experience. 20 years is a lot. I look back, I said, hey, that was just a chance moment. I was not really looking for it, but then it became my whole life after that, working with computers. So that was not planned, right? So sometimes, you just take your chances with it. Then education is, I've been teaching for almost 8 years now.
8 years.
Right? I don't usually teach the college graduates as such. I teach professionals, people who are like 5, 10, 15, 20 years experience.
Yes.
Some of them my age. Even though I call them all students, but some of are a little older than me as well. Education part allowed me was, interact with people from various industries.
Okay.
I was an IT services guy.
Exactly.
I had no clue what banking is, what finance is, what manufacturing is. or what retail is. I have no idea.
Exactly.
And I cannot learn that on my own. And it'll take several lifetimes.
Exactly.
So what this teaching allowed me was, people coming and, when I teach them, they usually will have questions.
Okay.
But the question will be from their perspective, their industry. And then you have to think.
Yes.
Hey, why that question came. What it does is basically it allows you to kind of learn about their industry, and it also allows you to kind of dig deeper into this subject that I teach, ML and deep learning, and kind of make me learn this subject also better. So this, the teaching part has been, great in that way that you get to have different learning from different perspectives, and that kind of helped us in TensorBrew. Right, because you get to understand, okay, what kind of use cases AI can be applied in, and you can build solutions for that, right? I mean, because unless if you need to build solution, you need to know the business problem.
Yes.
Right, and how do you know business problem? You need to have some domain expertise.
Exactly.
Right, so I mean, I was getting some domain expertise. Of course, I'm not a domain expert per se in different industries, but I got ideas and those expertise learned from from training people, and I use that expertise in TensorBrew.
In
right?
TensorBrew.
We could build solutions, and thing is, because we build solutions in TensorBrew, we could use that experience and teach better.
Okay.
I could teach better because I have used those skills, right? So those TensorBrew and educating people, I mean, actually they are complementary, and so in that regard, they have enriched my experience.
Actually started with IBM, where you learned around the computer, you learned about the new skill set.
New skill
That's
set.
like the IBM brought in.
Correct.
Then you started also learning more by sharing it with the different people from
Yes.
the industry, where you also learned about the
Yes.
business domain.
Correct.
Then you did combination of this, used it in the startup to make the solutions
Yes.
into it. That's really interesting.
Yes. So yes, I mean, so although I tell my students, like, I tell them that, hey, I have come here to learn. So if you guys end up learning, that's good for you. But I have come for selfish reasons. Some of us acknowledge it, some of us don't. But, we do things for selfish reasons. And so my goal was to learn more, learn better. And I'm able to do that, by combining.
By combining all
Yes.
this.
So, yeah.
And this is also, very interesting, because, the domain which you are currently today is the AI, right? Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Machine learning. The latest term is the generative
AI, yes.
Right. So what is this landscape overall looks like, right? If you just see it today, and maybe where you started, how does it used to look like then how does it looking like today, and what do you think like in the future it will look like? Could you share more around it?
Sure. Yes, I mean, And in a way, I've been lucky to kind of live through this, what do you call it, the age of AI, right? I mean, and I said I was probably one of the first guy to start teaching this subject.
Yes.
People didn't know anything about deep learning at that
Exactly.
time. This is 2017 March. That's when I took the first class. So it's almost 8 years now.
Yeah.
Right. So and so I mean, at that time it was a novelty. Right. I mean, people have started learning about classical machine learning, decision trees and logistic regression and those things, and deep learning was very, very new at that time, and hardly anyone. I mean, in fact, I can say absolutely no one in India was using it. First 2-3 years, it was an all, hey, Rajiv, can we do this, something like this? And but I was engaged with this company called Great Learning for teaching purpose, and that's another kind of. I'm grateful to these guys also that they brought in a lot of students, so I had to just teach and not go after students to learn from me. Right? So they gave me the students who can listen to me or whom I can learn from. And so we started, like, in the first batch was 2018, and I remember, and I was teaching the very first batch in deep learning. So I mean, initially, most of it was focused on classical ML algorithms and very few users. I mean, very few instances. And then I think around 2021, around when COVID basically made everybody stay at home, and everybody started learning online. I mean, by that time, I think what happened is we had enough people who had kind of learned, this concept to some extent. And of course, there was a lot of money pouring in deep learning in US and all, not in India, but deep learning research. Right, so and that has started to give results. We saw, transformer architecture. Then BERT came, and things started to take off a little, bit by bit. And earlier, before 2019-20, most of the discussion was focused around computer vision.
Yes.
And hardly anyone had, no traditional company had, visual data with them. They never store visual data.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody works with, text,
emails,
and documents and all. So nobody had visual data. So even though, we were saying that deep learning is giving results, and I remember I used to talk a lot about computer vision at that time because those were the interesting results. Very, little was happening in the field of, language and NLP. So, but around 2019-20, people, more work was getting done in NLP space, which was more relatable for traditional companies.
Yes.
Right. I mean, hey, I have this data. We have this problem. We want people to, somebody read this and kind of make this content useful for us. So I think that's when more and more people started, getting into it, and then by the time there was just massive investment. People realize that as you can scale these models, right? The models that we build, this can be scaled in a tremendous way, right? So I remember, it was maybe 2022, and I remember seeing a tweet from Satya Nadella saying that, we have trained a model of 17 billion parameters. Right? So this was just 2.5 years back. The model was thought to be so big that a CEO of a multi-trillion-dollar company was tweeting about it. That how significant that event was. But now, I mean, in 2 years we have 17 billion is kind of almost is seen as a small model. So things have changed tremendously in terms of the amount of compute and how big these models have become, and they've become more capable. Right, so that's what GenAI. Although we call it GenAI, I mean, we always have to have new names to make to make things look more interesting.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, but just that model got scaled to a bigger size. And they started giving, I would say, amazing results, right? I mean, so now, there's a lot of, what I see is a lot of awareness, first of all. See, till 22, hardly anyone outside of AI community knew what AI is. And people might say, we are using AI, but that was just more
That
of a
was
snake
just-
oil,
yeah.
right? I mean, you can say anything is AI.
Yeah.
Other person will not ask you why, because they also don't know what is AI. Now there is a awareness about AI among general population, non-IT crowd, non-ML crowd, which is great, right? Which is great. And so this phase of what we call GenAI for last 2 years has really, I feel, is now people are looking up to it.
Exactly.
That this could be a useful tool to have.
Yeah.
Right? And so more people are getting involved in this. I feel this is for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So all along I've been, I've been saying that, AI is for domain experts. No, it's not an IT subject.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and most of the time IT people are learning, but it's not an IT subject because AI is used to solve some business problem, right? Using data. So who understand business problem? Domain guys.
Yeah.
Who understand the data? Domain guys. Right? So the only thing is the math that
The
they need to
algorithm
learn, and they can make use of AI models in their work. Right? So I've been big advocate of bringing AI to domain experts, non-IT people, and I think this GenAI is kind of going to help in that regard.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has also seen it as, right? So earlier I think that the power of using AI was also very limited, right? Only very few people had the access.
Exactly.
With this power, being available to everyone, right? Non-techies, etc. We
Correct.
see nowadays, like even a person who just do have a basic access to the internet, do have certain access to, like for example, Google's or the OpenAI or the Microsoft model.
Yes.
And they see, hey, this is something really helping me out, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's where people started getting, hey, what is this even technique, right? And the generative means it is taking some input and it is generating some output, which you were looking it for, right? For example, whether you are looking to just send an email with this thing, earlier it used to take like 30 minutes. Now it is taking 5 minutes. That's how
yes.
the
and you're probably writing better email.
Yes.
Especially from Indian perspective,
Yeah.
because I remember, and because I've managed IT teams for a long time, communication is not our greatest strength. I mean, English is not our mother tongue for none of us, right? So, so when we write it down, I mean, sometimes we make silly mistakes, and when people on the other side read it, they form an opinion subconsciously. And they realize. I mean, other side also realize English is not our mother tongue. But no matter what you do, when you read a grammatically incorrect content, you feel that the person does not have is not competent subconsciously at some level, right? So this can actually take away that problem. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even like nowadays we see it is being used across, right? Even in the content creation, because we see lots and lots of content being created. So people are trying to add something new which they could not even think
of. Yes.
We saw, like, we started from the traditional machine learning, then we went to the AI, and now to the Gen AI, right? So where do you see the world moving in next decade or so, or maybe even in 5 years?
All right, that's a tough one for the field of AI. I mean, it's hard to imagine where we will be, because things are moving fairly fast. It has moved fairly fast in last 2.5 years, I would say, 2 to 3 years. I mean, we have scaled these models tremendously, right? I mean, I think we are kind of probably reaching that limit for a while, for a while. But these models that we have now, from business perspective, there are two sides of it. When we talk about where AI journey will be. See, there are two kind of people in AI. One is AI researchers in a company who research, and second is more like people who can use AI to solve business problems, right? So AI research will continue. We don't know what kind of results we're going to see. I mean, we already seen great amount of progress, but we might see some breakthroughs. But at this point, the current models are very, very, very useful for the business.
Yes.
I mean, so till about 22, 23, we had to do a lot of maneuvering around the model, a lot of engineering around the models to make them kind of work for a business problem. We have to put a lot of guardrails. But these models that we have, the big ones, are out of the box highly capable, right? And can be used, by anyone. Like, for example, I have been teaching this subject for like 80 years, and just previous week I was told that I need to take a topic which I have never heard of, right? So I said, okay, I need to learn this new. So when I need to learn something new, what I would do is I will go around on Google, search for that topic. Somebody would have written an article. Then you will still have some questions, and then you keep searching, and then what I did was I just went to Google Gemini. I said, hey, what is this? And then it said some of this. And I said, okay, you said this. I picked up a word that I did not understand. Hey, what do you mean by this? Can you visualize it for me? Can you give me an example? And it kept doing it. And I was talking to it for almost 30, 40 minutes. By the end of it, I was fairly clear what the topic was, right? And that was very powerful, very powerful. And the thing is, during the conversation, it was coming up with examples on the data that I was giving it, right? I mean, it was creating examples on the fly, right? And so which showed me that it's highly capable, right? I mean, I could, basically as an educator, I could use it to basically clarify my content, what I want, try simplify thing, can use the right words, right? I can use it as my assistant.
Yes.
I can use it as my assistant and to communicate my story better, right? So it is very powerful, and I mean, any business should be, take advantage of it now. What we are lacking right now is that the domain experts don't know what to do with it. What exactly it is capable of, right? So once we figure that out, once organizations figure that out, they could increase their productivity tremendously, right? They could do more with the same set of people, or they can scale their work, right? So I think we are just about starting with usage of AI in a journal way in different industries. So far, it was very specific. Companies who are has invested for several years, they were starting to take some gains or advantage out of AI. But now, every company can take advantage of. It's like late 90s back again. I mean, if I can, I'm old, so I can go back in time and think about computers. Like we did not. I mean, not many companies had computers in mid 90s.
Yes.
Right, and even if somebody had, they had one computer.
Yeah.
Like but then as people, computers became easily available, the productivity increased, the amount of opportunities increased, right, for everybody. I mean, so I see same thing happening with AI, right? Basically it will work more like, it probably will work more like that. Everybody will adopt GenAI in some form, and we can call it GenAI or AI. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter. But it's a useful tool to have in every organization. And I think every working person will, just like everybody uses computers nowadays. Now, it's not that coding people only use computers, right? Everybody uses computer. So everybody will use AI to help them their work.
Yeah. So you are saying, like, for now it is acting as an assistant
Yes.
to you, and in the longer run the usage is expected to grow, because right now it is not only with the specialized people, it's
Yeah.
with like everyone.
Yes.
So the more and more people will start using it, which means more and more use cases will start growing.
Absolutely.
And it could go even into the something like the artificial general intelligence, because now they see, oh, there is a market, there is a need of creating it. Earlier it was the case that the investment which you have to do, they were more, right?
Yes.
And the return on them was fairly less.
Very little. Yes.
That's the reason why there were not so
Notes.
much.
Yes. Absolutely right. I mean, yes. I mean, yes. At this point, you use it as an assistant. You basically become better version of yourself in the job that you're doing.
Yes.
Right. And so everybody has a personal assistant, just like everybody has a phone. The phone becomes better now. Right. It can do more for you. You don't need to. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Google should be concerned about it. Maybe people will not go to Google search anymore. They will just go to. Of course, Gemini is from Google, so the people might go to Gemini, but hey, give me an answer to this question. Ultimately, we are looking for an answer to a particular question, right? When we go to search, so we can use that. Everybody becomes better. More and more, I see more jobs coming, being created because of AI, right? Why? Because more things can be done with software.
Yes.
Right. I mean, so that's what I see now. People talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence, and I don't know what it will look like. Like, I mean, people sometimes worry also, like that if AI does everything, what would we do? Right? If AI, I mean, I don't know if we will ever reach there. So. But if let's say we get there, now if AI does everything, and then everything will be cheap, right? I mean, you don't need to earn that much, right? See, why do we have to earn so much? Because people are costly, So if you're not using people, then everything will be cheap. Then you don't need to earn that much. So I think that maybe the fear is little unfounded. Again, I could be wrong, folks. Right, so but I see it's a great technology to boost productivity, to do more things. I mean, if think about think about it, like when we were growing up. I was growing up. I was in college. There was no internet.
Yes.
No YouTube. Right now, once YouTube was there, you can see. Explanation or of every topic on YouTube. There are great content available, right? I mean, on ML, or any topic you take, right? Now, did it reduce the need for teachers? Yeah, I see more teachers now. More people want to learn things, right? So sometimes we fear things that this, but what we have seen is technology is always enabled to do things better, and we can do more and more things with technology, and I think it will continue, right? So we really don't know what the future will look like. So to answer your question, what will happen after 5 years? To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. If somebody says after 5 years this will happen, or after 10 years this will happen, I think they have no clue. I mean, why people talk about 5 years or 10 years, because by that time they will be gone from that scene. They don't have to, defend their answer. They say, hey, 10 years later, this will happen. Or 10 years later, the person who said that will not be there. So, it's just an empty kind of saying to me. Yeah, I mean, maybe in 6 months, 1 year, we can kind of guess to a reasonable extent. But 5 years is a very long time for technology.
Yeah, and this is long time, because the advancement which used to happen earlier, like it used to take like earlier the span was like 100 years.
Yeah.
For example, if the company was doing good, it will continue doing it for 100. Then it came down to 50 years, shrink down then to 25. 10, then like when we were starting in IT, like it was okay, 10 years is a good, then reduced to 5, now to 3. So we even don't know, like even after a year, the things will be completely different.
Very true. Very
But
true.
one thing which I see very interesting, Rajiv, is you have kept yourself up to date, right? Within these years. So what are some of the learning method? What are some of the thing? How do you keep yourself up to date, and how you have kept it so far, right?
So far, right.
Because it is not only a 2 years or 3 years. It's
Yes.
28 years.
Yes. So yeah, that's a great question, and I mean, see, one disadvantage of having computers is everybody can throw information at you.
Yes.
Earlier, I used to, I mean, we used to hear from parents like like once in a month through a postcard, or like when you're far away from them, like they will write a letter to you,
Yeah.
and that will reach you in 15-20 days, and you say okay, and you don't have to answer right away. But now, your parents can reach you immediately,
Yes.
and they can see what you're doing, and so you have a certain disadvantage, like that freedom is lost on kids. But where I mean, how I have handled this tons of information that is coming through, and especially in this field that I teach, there's just tremendous amount of information that is being generated, and every day new things keep coming. So obviously, I cannot absorb all that. That is humanly impossible, right? So I need a summarizer who can tell me, okay, these are the three things you need to be aware of. Now, how do I get those 3 lines? Now, what works for me, I wouldn't say I figured out. What works for me is few years back, what I did is I went to Twitter, and a lot of these AI researchers, like I'm talking about my field, researchers who basically keep working on coming up with the new things, they are on Twitter, and they will tweet about some paper or something new that they found, right? So what it meant, and if some interesting paper came, they will write about it. Hey, this is something, they'll summarize it, and I could just read the summary of it. And then if I find something which is more interesting for me, then I can go and read more about it, right? So I have used help from these guys, the researchers, to summarize things for me and keep me up to date, right? And of course, using things, right? That allowed me to kind of retain that knowledge, trying out new
And
things.
really test also that skill set. Right?
Absolutely. And there are people have done tremendously well in terms of making it easier for you to consume all these new things, right? I mean, you have people people who created Keras or TensorFlow or a Hugging Face or PyTorch. I mean, people have been amazingly helpful, right? I mean, so that also has allowed us to progress much faster.
Exactly.
The people have not tried to keep the knowledge within, and they have
Exactly.
tried to kind of share, and they have benefited, and everyone else around them have benefited. So I see. I mean, so that sharing part is is very helpful.
The open community.
Open community is extremely good, I guess, for most of the fields. We do, as a human race, we do better when we share things with each other.
It's like same thing, like you can make a business model, right, which gives you certain money, that's for needed.
Yes.
But I think if you still stay to the basics of it,
Yes.
this is useful, and there are very good examples. For example, even like you described, like the YouTube, right?
Correct.
If YouTube have been a very closed platform, it would not have grown to.
Such a big, and it would not have been useful.
Yes.
Right? I mean, just, I mean, I remember like, I was in, this is early 2000. YouTube was extremely new.
Yes.
Like people used to make jokes about it. There's only cats videos on that platform, and Google bought it for, I think, a little over $1 billion, $1.5 billion, and everybody was surprised why they did that. And I mean, now look at it. I mean, they had the vision to, think about, and just everybody goes to YouTube.
Yes.
Right? I mean, amazing content, and as people can create their own content and put it out there, right? So you have the best of the teachers for every subject. The only thing that is you need is your willingness to learn, and otherwise everything is available.
So you shared like the resources like the Twitter. That's one.
Twitter,
source.
definitely
YouTube.
Twitter, and focus on people who are kind of interest you. Twitter has a lot of what I call as somebody was shared that every time I go on Instagram, it's so nice and everything looks beautiful, and at the moment I open Twitter, it's like there's a world war going on, right? So there are distractions on Twitter as well. So you have to be careful about like what you go. So maybe limit your time, but there are a lot of great information in a summarized fashion available on Twitter, I would say. And then you can always, something that interests you, you can always go to read a blog about it, right? And just because you cannot read about everything. That is not possible. Not required to do also.
And maybe like now even use the GenAI for this purpose, right?
Yes.
For the summarization.
Correct. Hey, you look at that. Yes, absolutely. I tell my kids also that they use Gemini or these tools. Get comfortable with it. This will add a lot of value to you. I mean, even for school-going kid, I mean, people don't need to know AI to use these tools. They are very easy and very helpful. Very helpful in different scenarios. I mean, I cannot even think of all the scenarios it can be. It's just an amazing tool, and everybody should use it. Right? So yeah, that's.
And do you also leverage some other platform, for example, like the Hugging Face you described? Right?
Yes. So that
this platform is specifically for the data science and the machine learning.
Yes. So that's for like tools like Gemini is for everyone, right? Now the thing is, a lot of times what happens, companies don't want to share their. So there is when people want to use Gemini, like let's say Gemini or Chat GPT for that matter, you have to send out your data or your on which you want to ask questions to these guys, right? So a lot of people have concern, valid and valid. That's debatable, but have concern that my data cannot go out. My data cannot go out. So what in that case, what you need to do, you need to bring the model inside your organization where your data stays within, right? So and another thing is so that's where the data science people, AI people, engineers will come in and they basically build solutions specific for an organization. See, and this is where I differ a little from what has been tried out. Although they've been successful. I mean, like companies like Google, OpenAI, or Anthropic and all, they see that there will be one model doing everything, right? So that and I said they've been fairly successful. I mean, looking at the results coming from Gemini or Chat GPT or Cloud. My thinking is, we will have billions of AI models doing very specific thing, right? So because every company's has a specific way of doing things, so every process will have its own AI model.
So you mean like world might move from the large language model to small language models. One thing which I have specifically realized is that learning is one thing, right? For example, maybe we found something new, interesting, and we learned about it. But what I have seen based on your journey is that you apply them as well, right?
So, yes.
For example, even in the AI part, right? So you just not only went for that, hey, I know about AI, I could teach AI, but how could I apply the AI?
Apply the AI, absolutely. Yes, and that's actually makes it even more impactful.
Okay.
Right? I mean, otherwise you're just, what happens is you're just taking a lot of knowledge and then you're losing it.
Exactly.
Right? You cannot keep knowledge, or like you have to retain for long term, you have to practice it again. I mean, that's true for every, like if you're playing cricket, you have to keep practicing. The moment you leave cricket for 6 months,
Yeah,
your muscle memory is gone, right? So same holds true with the, our book knowledge, or, the knowledge in general. Unless we practice it, we will not be able to retain it for a long time. So now practicing it is harder, and it was harder earlier, even more harder earlier. Why do I say that? Is see, earlier, let's say we learned something, like for example, when I learned machine learning.
Okay.
And if I needed to practice it, what I had to, I had to. There were not many opportunities. So what I had to do, I look at my job and figure out a way which part of my job might use AI. And I figured it out. I used it, right? But the thing is, now, even if you're, let's say you're not doing, sometimes organizations may not be ready to listen to your ideas, right? I mean, again, there are a lot of ideas, but, they cannot give weightage to every idea.
Exactly.
You have, so but thing is, nowadays, there are a lot of support available where you can practice what you learn, right? Maybe communities, you can always form online groups to kind of test some ideas. Earlier, that was not the case.
There
was no
platforms
to do that. So, have whatever, that basically you can always have your outside job, kind of communities as well, and that will also enrich your life. I mean, help in your job as well, but it will kind of keep you motivated to keep learning and, from each other and practicing what you are learning. So that's, I mean, so opportunities are there now, right? A lot of time we procrastinate, and even I do. So, but we need to just push. If you push, what I realize, if you push a little, you just keep enjoying more and more. So that's what I would.
Is that the reason that you do have a small team and you still do the coding part also?
No, coding. I mean, I love coding.
Okay.
I love coding. So it's not, and the reason the smaller team is because of my another interest, which is traveling.
Okay.
Right. So I cannot take responsibility.
So traveling is also another thing which inspire you.
Yes, we can say traveling is definitely one of the things that I love. I love to see different parts of this world, and so and now of course we have to do balance. I mean, you cannot have it all, right? So if you have a very large team, obviously you have to take responsibilities of that team, right? So, and you have to give time. What is responsibility? You have to give time, and so now if I need to take time to travel, obviously the time will be taken from that responsibility. So what I have done in my case, I consciously try to have a smaller team so that I can enjoy my travel, other thing that I love about, right? So I think it's important to see, you will not have everything in life. That is my learning, and so you need to find what you want, and you need not copy others. I think that's another thing I think I kind of ended up not doing is copy others.
Okay.
I've always tried to be like what I like. Right, I never try to compare with others. I mean, because you can always look up to someone and say, boss, why my salary is not that high? You can feel miserable about it. I don't even need that much salary. I like what I'm doing.
Okay.
So as long as you like what you're doing, you will be happy. Even in the same salary. That's what I saw. The moment I managed a big teams also, like 100-member team and all.
In IBM, of course.
IBM, of course, yes. And I realized, people enjoy, and then after 2.5 years, they'll come back. Hey, Rajiv, my salary is not enough.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I said, but suddenly what happened you were happy 6 months back. And what I realized is it's not the salary part. It's that their learning opportunities have reduced.
Okay.
Because they're working on the same project. So when you work on the same project, initially there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of new things for you.
New things are coming.
So you are enjoying it. You don't care a damn about the salary part, right? I mean, you are enjoying it. And as you learn more and more in that project, your learning reduces. And then what happens is your brain starts to play tricks with you.
Yeah.
Boss, say this is not right. This is not. That is brain telling you I'm not engaged fully, right? So engaging brain is critical for your happiness. Otherwise, it will make you miserable, right? So that's what I mean. Keep looking, keep doing something new to keep for your brain. Otherwise, you will be pretty in a bad shape very quickly. So yeah.
So that will be an advice even for the CEO group, that hey, please be hands-on.
Yes.
Keep something to engage.
Yes,
yourself.
and yes, I mean, and again, hands-on could be different for different people.
Exactly.
Right? Like for me, it's coding. That doesn't mean every other guy will like coding. No, that's not needed. Some people like managing people. They enjoy, take great joy in managing people. And that's hands. I mean, they can, whatever people like. And at people in my age, they know what they like, what they don't like. Like that's what living is like. You figure yourself out. And so I think we always find a way to, and that's why I think people my age, they're a little more chilled out. Why? Because they know what I want. You can have your own thing. I'm not comparing myself with you. So it comes with age. That comes with age, I guess.
Yeah. And I think you started your career in 96.
96, yes, I graduated.
So it's almost 3 decades.
Almost 3 decades, yes.
Right? So if you go back in the time, or maybe the younger one who are just starting the career, or maybe who are the experienced professional, based on your experience so far, what are some of the key things which you would like to share it with them,
okay.
This is something maybe they could do better, maybe there is an opportunity to improvement, or maybe if you would have gone back and fixed certain thing, right? So it's like again in the machine learning area, right?
Correct.
Hey, something output is not coming correct. You try to go back and fix certain thing, and then the output get
right. And now if you talk about the kids who are let's say finishing up their colleges or getting into the job market, I mean see you have little more opportunity to experiment. Why? Because your parents, my generation people have given a platform. I mean, we have a bit of financial security, created it's all about finance first of all, right? I mean, why we worry about the salaries and all? It's about financial security, right? So parents have a lot of parents have created certain amount of financial security for their kids. So what it means is like the kids can experiment. They're allowed to fail, but make an honest attempt to experiment, not just procrastinate, of course, right? Don't waste that opportunity. All right. And so if you have some thoughts, ideas you want to try out, you have time to try it out. You don't need to succeed in 6 months, a year. You can take time, right? So give yourself shot, but give honest, kind of attempt at it, right? So that's first thing. Second thing is, be very comfortable with technology.
Okay.
Right. I mean, and now when we say technology, I mean, I'm saying, whether you're doing computer science or not, whether you are an engineer or not, even if you're a commerce graduate, or even if you're a arts graduate, be conversion, use technology to your benefit.
Okay.
Very important. Very important. Learn computers. Computers is not for, it's not for computer science, only for computer science guys. It's for everybody. It's for everybody to learn. It's like, almost everybody has to learn math, right? Almost everybody, or almost everybody has to learn a language. So now almost everybody has to learn technology.
Yeah.
Right? Any job you have needs technology. So get comfortable with it, start using it. So I think that's very important. That will help you a lot, and there will be, you can differentiate yourself in the market. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I know, like from the experimentation perspective, you said go ahead and do the experiment, do it with full justice, so that it's not only just for sake of the experiment you are doing, but the experiments also bring some chance of failure also, right?
Hmm.
And failure, as you know, it doesn't sound a good thing,
Good
right?
thing to
At
you.
least to the mind also,
Yes,
right?
yes.
If something is getting fail,
Yeah.
I'll get worried about.
Yes.
So how people should come out from that area?
I think the probably people are, the youngsters are, they're because they also realize that, if food is not a problem for me,
Yeah.
my parents will, I will have a nice cushy bedroom and food on my tail most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Right. So they realize, they see that they can take chances. They, I mean, and see, failures is a very, very important part of doing something new.
Okay.
Unless you fail, you're not trying well enough.
Okay.
You're not trying well enough. I mean, so I think that's what we see in US and all. They are actually more embracing of failures. They don't look down upon people who have failed. I mean, in their ventures. I mean, that's a good learning. Failure is a good learning. Without failure, you will not be able to succeed. So we have to we have to be comfortable with failures. My generation could not. And I think you will see that was that a lot of our startups also are fairly safe play. A lot of we copy ideas from other places where it has worked. So more safer ideas are being tried out by my generation, and they're successful. So it's not that it's a bad thing. But what I think is for India to kind of take the lead is essentially we need to be able to come up with new ideas of our own, solve our own problems, and that will require being comfortable with failures, right? So so opportunity is there now, and for the youngsters to fail and be so go with the mindset that yes, there can be a failure. Of course, you're not looking to fail, but there can be failure. But keep looking for opportunity. What worked, what did not work, so that you can use that experience or knowledge in the next step. There's always a solution. That's just part of how we human race progresses. Is like we keep finding new ways to do things better and better and better. So we just participate in it.
Yeah. And the second point which you touched is like being comfortable with the technology, right?
Yes.
And I think young generation is specifically very comfortable with the technology because they keep using the latest gadgets, etc. and all. But it's also about knowing or learning new thing, right? For example, when you started and moving from electronics to computer, maybe just learning the programming language was the biggest
thing.
learning.
Yes.
But now it might be the assumption that you do have that coding knowledge. You do have maybe like even the presentation skill set also, how to put that idea into it so that you can present it. And maybe with the AI evolving, right, you need to be also very comfortable even with like the AI also. You might not be developing it, but you might be using
it. Yes. I think using part is the critical part, right? See, not everybody will build AI models. That's not needed.
Yeah.
I mean, just like not everybody will be building roads or building different things, machines and all, right? We all will have our expertise. Somebody is an expert in finance, somebody is expert in manufacturing, somebody is expert in AI, right? So we still have different jobs. Somebody is good in content creation, but how do I use technology to become to do my job better? That's the key part, right? So we are not saying that you become a technology guy. No, you start joining BTech computer science. No. What I'm saying is, if a BA art student is, they should be also combining whatever they are learning. Like if they are learning history, how can I combine technology with knowledge of history? Right? So we start thinking on I'm in fashion, or I'm a UX designer, a UI UX designer. How can I become better at it using technology? So we're not talking about just coding part, using technology to enhance the work that you are doing.
So, in summary, the first thing is you should be more comfortable with accepting, failure or something. That's
Yes.
part of your learning, so that you know which is my area of interest. For example, you might be choosing one thing,
Yeah.
but that's not something which excite you. And with the experiment, you can quickly realize, is this something I wanted to do
Yeah, not,
or
yeah.
not? And
Yes.
that could result into, yes, I like it, and then you go ahead into it, or maybe I don't like it, maybe I wanted to do the switch part.
Switch. Yes, yes, yes.
And on the technology also, right? So that's like, the continuation. So once I do it, whether I am a technologist, then of course I have to use and engage with the technology.
that's the how.
But even if I am not part of this, my business or anything which I will do will become dependent on
it. Yes, yes, yes.
So
You cannot escape it.
yeah, for example,
You
like,
embrace it.
yeah, so for example, like, the earlier shops and all, they might not even have thought like how the technology would have come. But then the rise of, like, Amazon or e-kirana store,
Yes.
etc., they have to do. And same happened with like a UPI payment. Might be
Yes.
they have not felt why should I
Yes.
use a digital payment, but
Correct.
because of the other dependency, etc., you are forced to use it. So it's better to adopt.
Embrace. No, no. I feel like once there might be a bit of hesitation sometime with people, but once you just give yourself a chance, you will love it. You will enjoy it. You just, it can do amazing things for you. I feel, that's my experience, not from a coder's perspective, but I use, technology to do so many things, learn so many things, and I feel everybody can use it. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, that's, I think, I would say, and I mean, I want to share one. As I was talking, I remember one thing, about, there will be things which you are not good at, and especially like presentation. A lot of us are, not good at it. Let me put that way, especially when we are younger, right? Now, that's not, and nowadays kids are doing better than, in my time, speaking English itself was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we did not, I mean, nobody around me spoke English, so I never got to pick it up. Right? So I used to speak Haryanvi all the time. I even do now, but what I'm now, I remember one thing that I was good at studies, and in school they will have these plays and all. So don't be too hard on yourself.
If I have seen you, like you speak very comfortably.
Yes.
I think even with the language part, even with the body language, and I think the presentation, etc.
Yeah.
Also, so this is
Amazing
really
transformation, I would
Yes.
say. Yeah, so it can happen, folks. I mean,
Yeah.
so I would say don't worry about it too much.
Thanks a lot, Rajiv, for joining and sharing this insightful journey. This has really inspired me specifically, and I think it will be inspiration for our viewers as well. So that's it for today's episode of the Techie Talks with Kuldeep. Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and keep watching it.